Hello, my name is Claire Summers and I am an online English teacher. In this video I'm going to talk to you about teaching English online, specifically teaching English online in China. I'm going to take you through some of the differences between teaching in person and teaching online, and also share with you some tips to help you get through the interview process and to help you with your classes. So just to share with you a little bit about me and my teaching experience. I was a teacher in the UK for maybe 10 years before deciding that I wanted to become what's referred to as a digital nomad. So that's someone who can work from anywhere in the world as long as they have a laptop. So before I left the UK, I decided to do my TEFL qualification, just in case I ever wanted to teach online. It ended up being one of the best decisions that I made, and teaching English online became one of my main sources of income. However, the TEFL certificate itself didn't really adequately prepare me for teaching English online. It's a great qualification if you're going to go and teach in a school, but not so great to learn how to teach online because the two things are very, very, very different. When I first decided that I was going to teach online, I applied for maybe 10 different online service providers. And I absolutely flunked every single interview. No matter how many YouTube videos I watched and how many times I practiced, I just couldn't get the interview process right. It just didn't quite click for me. It wasn't until I had an interview for one of the major companies, and they actually, rather than having to pretend to an adult to teach, they actually gave me a child, which really made something click for me, and that was the job that I managed to get. So the more I got into teaching, the more I realised that one of the things that makes it so different is the amount of energy that you have to give. Quite often, I feel a little bit like a children's entertainer. You have to be super animated, and they talk about TPR, which is total body response, and that can feel a little bit silly at first. And I think the reason why I failed so many of the interviews is because I wasn't doing enough of that, because I felt really self-conscious. So my first tip would be, you have to let that go. You have to be really animated, you have to be really energetic, and you have to be able to really reach through the screen and to grab the kids' attention. And although it feels really silly to be doing that at an interview, you have to just do it. You have to put on your smile and be really animated and completely over the top, and that is what they want to see in the job interview. So I'm going to go through some tips with you to help you with your interview. First of all, this top, not appropriate for interview or for teaching. China's a very conservative country, so you need to make sure that you're dressed appropriately for the interview. Some of the bigger companies will tell you what to wear. They want to see you wearing a blue t-shirt, or they want to see you wearing this. I would, as a kind of standard, you want to be safe, the kind of thing you want to wear is a t-shirt, preferably something a bit bright. I don't have anything very bright right now, but I have this. Ta-da! So, wearing a t-shirt, making sure that it's high neck or a polar neck, nothing that's V or low cut. Make sure the shoulders are covered, preferably something a bit brighter than this, just because you're going to be teaching children and teenagers, and they want to see you in something bright and colourful and child-friendly. Second tip, make sure you're well presented. So making sure your hair's combed, that you look smart. Third tip, background. Being professional is really important to the Chinese companies, and also they really want you to be at a certain standard. So one of the things that you should just do straight away and do for your interview is to create a background. So good things to have, these are actually placemats that you can buy off Amazon really cheap. This one's a mat and the ABC. Okay, so it's not the best, but it's something. You want to make sure that your background is clear, so preferably that you have a white wall, or that it's just something that's child-friendly and makes it look like you're in a classroom, like it makes it look educational. So they don't want to see an ironing board or piles of washing or a TV or anything that looks like bedroom or furniture in the background. So trying to find a white wall and then just decorate it, make it look fun, make it look bright. Another tip for making sure that you're well prepared for the interview is to have a whiteboard, something that you can write on to show the students. If you don't have your name behind you, then you can write your name on here. I always have like, hello, my name is Teacher Claire. If the student has a very low level of English, sometimes they might not understand what you're saying, but they might be able to read it. If you know their name, you can put hello and put their name. Another tip when you, especially are doing the interview for your classes as well, tattoos. They don't like tattoos. As you can see, I have two. So I generally wore a long sleeved t-shirt so you couldn't see, and also had a watch over my tattoo. So be conscious about if you have like tattoos on your arms, especially during the interview. Okay, my next tip is you have to be full of energy. You might feel ridiculous, but you just have to get over it. So the way that I would greet a younger student who I've maybe never met before. Hello, my name is Teacher Claire. Teacher Claire, what's your name? Wait for them to respond. If they don't respond, and bear in mind this is a trial class of a student, you want to make them feel good. You want to make them feel like to end the lesson, feel like they've achieved something. If you spend the next 5 minutes trying to get them to say their name and they don't understand you, that child is not going to feel good. You've got the parent sat there watching as well. The parent wants to hear their child speaking. If the child's just sat staring at you, like that's not good for anyone, so you move on super quick. So there's a lot of talk about a thing called TPR, which is total body response, which means that you have to use your entire body when you're teaching English online. You have to be really animated, really happy, use your voice in a certain way, and use big gestures, because you've got to speak to that child through the camera. You've got to get their attention and you've got to keep it. Okay, so for example, this would be how I would start the class. My name is Teacher Claire. Teacher Claire, what is your name? My name is. So by doing this, it signals that you want them to speak. My name is. And I say it quietly to signal to them I want them to say my name is. Okay? My name is. And then I'm listening because I want them to talk. So speak slowly, clearly, and use your mouth. They have to be able to see you. They need to see your mouth, to see the movement, so that they can do it. Because one of the things that I noticed through teaching is that a lot of the kids, they don't open their mouth very much. They keep their mouth closed. So do it big. Speak slowly. My name is. Really animate your voice. Like, all these kids have got to go off is your silly face and your voice, and you're not there in person. You don't have that connection, so you need to give them so much more through the camera. So everything just needs to be really animated, really, really clear, and very slow. Be conscious about your tone, be conscious about your speed, and most importantly, be conscious about exactly what you're saying. You don't need to say any extra words. That was one of the hardest things for me at first when I started teaching online, because I might be like, I might kind of mumble or speak to myself. And you'll get a lot of students who are what we call repeaters. They will literally just say everything that you say. Like, they don't really think for themselves or think to answer questions. They're just going to repeat every single word you say. So if you're adding lots of if you're adding lots of different words in there that don't need to be in there, or you're kind of mumbling or talking to yourself, you can't do that. You have to be very, very clear and not use any extra language. Another top tip is that you want to get that child to talk as much as you can. That is your key objective. You know, We talk about it a lot when you're teaching in classrooms, the teacher talk time. It's the same online. You have to remember that you have a parent sat there, and quite often you'll have people from quality control who'll be watching you teach as well. So you're always being monitored, and what they want to see, the main thing they want to see, is that child talking. Their mum wants to hear that child talking in English as much as possible. So anything you can do to elicit the language is really good, and you have to correct the student. And that can feel difficult online, but you must correct them. A lot of the parents, that's what they want to hear. And if you don't correct them, the parent will be sat there and the parent will correct them. And you don't want that. You need to be doing the correcting. And believe me, the parents do get involved, and the parents will correct the student. So to summarise, if you really want to succeed at teaching English online, you have to not be self-conscious. You have to get super animated and feel more like a children's entertainer sometimes. However, it is the only way that you're going to be successful at teaching online. You have to be animated, you have to be energetic, and you have to use your whole body when you're teaching the children. Smile, speak slowly, speak clearly, and use your mouth. You have to give the children like physical cues. If you want them to speak, you have to listen. If you want them to look for something, what can you see? What can you see? Okay. When you're preparing for your interview, make sure you're dressed appropriately. A t-shirt is just a really good safe option, maybe in a nice bright blue or bright red. T-shirt's a good option. Have some kind of background. Make sure that you've got a whiteboard, and also get yourselves some props. You can get some really cheap props, like these cards are really great with the alphabet on. Another thing I loved, because I travelled most of the time while I was teaching online, I only liked it was difficult for me to travel around with a lot of different things, but these finger puppets are great. And then there's lots of other things that you can just find lying around the house, like sunglasses, baseball caps, scarves, clothing as well is really good. Like, they want to see you using props, and especially if you're teaching the younger children, you need the props. So I really hope that this video has been useful for you, and that you have a bit more of an understanding about the differences between teaching in person and teaching online, and also some tips to be able to get you through the interview. If you are interested in teaching English online, check out the link in the description below for more information. Thank you for watching.